Apow. Welcome everyone. It's Thursday morning, and it's quite morningy, and I'm ready to go for the daily brew, and I just heard my cat meow. Not my cat, the cat meow, because she wants to be let outside because she's a dumb cat who wanted to be let inside 1 minute ago and now wants to go back outside, which is kind of a life lesson about people, but we'll get into the deep shit in just a sec. Let me go let the cat outside. I open my door and she's laying right in front of it, like fully laid out like a perfect little princess, but she's staring at me like, come on, human, do the thing. And as soon as I go out there, she gets up and runs the direction down to the glass door to go outside. Fucking cats, man. They're such assholes. They're so exactly like people. They're like little stupid people who are also smart and also just total assholes with zero self-control or desire for it. They just get buoyed around by their instincts continuously. Fucking cats. We head over to tea. So we're missing the one from yesterday because I haven't put it up yet. Again, we hit the point in the day where we're sort of falling behind, or in the week, I should say, where we're kind of falling behind. I need to figure that out. I'm gonna make this one short. I need to put up. Okay. So I want to make this one short, but what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go through comments is the idea for this brew. And that's something that I should actually do weekly. Like, we should do that as a weekly brew. That's the special one where I go through all the comments and I talk about all the comments. That would be really good, right? So then, can I sort these by most views or most likes and whatnot? No, not really. Okay, so then what I'll do is I'll just scroll to... I'm just going to scroll to a while ago. So I'm going to scroll down toward the Daily Brew episode 3 or so, and I'm going to go from there and talk through some of the stuff. Talk through some of the comments, because I don't know what else to talk about today. I've got a couple things that I could talk about. I could talk about my most recent adventures on dating applications, which have been fun and interesting, and I've changed my attitude toward them immensely. I'll just give you the long and the short of it. The short of it is that I basically stopped being a little bitch boy and started actually being semi-direct on dating apps in a like deeply honest and revealing way. And what's happened has been really interesting as I've put more of myself out there. I've gotten some rejection from people who seem quite fake, and I've gotten some immediate, like deep acceptance from some people who are like, oh my god, somebody who's actually talking to me. And that's been pretty interesting because it really mirrors the way that I've been approaching and speaking to women in the real world. So that seems about right, weirdly. But the whole time I had followed all the rules that people put out. The rules that people put out about like, oh, this is what women and men say you should do on dating apps. Is like, don't do the shirtless selfie thing. Don't be a fucking jerk. Don't be sexual in your goddamn bio in any way. Be a nice, bland boy so that you meet nice, bland girls. And that's not what you fucking meet. What you meet is OnlyFans catfish and like nothing else. And very unattractive, very desperate women is what I get likes from. Which is unfortunate. I paid the thing so I could see who likes me. They got me. They fucking got me. I paid the thing, so... And then I canceled the thing so that I don't get repaid for it. I just wanted to see, because what happened was I changed my profile pictures around and I changed my profile bio to be pretty direct about what I'm looking for. And essentially to frame it as, well, there are two things that I'm looking for. One is, like, long-term, really long-term, I'd like to find somebody incredible and have a committed relationship with them. That seems like a goal to strive forward for and not to give up on no matter what. Short-term, my sex drive is out of fucking control and I'd like somebody to, the phrasing that I used is pound senseless every couple of days. And that has worked really well. I'm just experimenting. It's all I have to lose is nothing because I was getting no matches. And so as soon as I made those changes and I put a couple of rather revealing photos of myself in my bio, immediately I started getting matches or like likes. I started getting likes. I was like, whoa, what the fuck is that? So I paid for the thing to see who was liking me. And frankly, most of the people who are liking me are people that I don't find attractive. But that's something. And so I'm on, oh my god, the experimentation is slightly working a little bit. Really interesting. And then I'll do the other thing in the past and what I'd like to talk about and what I find interesting. I spoke to two beautiful women yesterday at the gym. Like really, really beautiful women. Different ones. I was really hoping to see this one girl that I keep seeing, who I've talked to a couple times, and we keep doing this like eye contact and smile thing that's very cute. And she hasn't been at the gym the last 2 times I've been at the gym, and it's It's okay. It's okay. But I talked to 2 gorgeous women. One of them was a regular who, she came over and kind of very bashfully asked if we were going to be done with the bench that we were using anytime soon because it was relatively crowded. And I immediately recognized her, and I recognized her from like 3 different places. I recognized her because I've seen her profile on Tinder and elsewhere, and so I know her name because of that, and I just know who that person is. And then my roommate knew her, and I think went to high school with her, so he had said like, "Oh, I think that girl is that girl," and said her name, and so I knew her from that. And then also she's a serious regular at the gym who is always there, but she came over and was in the space. So I was like, "Hey, by the way, I don't mean this to be weird, but I think my friend has mentioned you before, and I think you might have gone to school together or something. His name is blah, blah, blah." And she was like, "I don't know who that is at all." I was like, "Okay, well, he mentioned it, and he's my roommate, and I just wanted to say hi. We're humans who live in the gym near you, and like, I see you here constantly." And she melted, basically, is what I saw in her face. It was like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Oh wait, he's not trying to destroy me or murder me or exploit me sexually. Oh, thank God, a human being I can speak to. And then the smile lights up and the eyes widen, and it's like, it works. Also, she's gorgeous, so that helps, and it helps in a lot of ways. And one of those ways is that going and speaking to an attractive woman, an intimidatingly attractive woman, is really hard. It's like really difficult. It's kind of painful. And there's this fear of rejection because rejection hurts, and it legitimately hurts. And we dismiss that at our peril. Like young men get rejected a lot. And I was thinking about this in terms of OkCupid and OnlyFans, or OkCupid and Tinder and Match and all these things. Is like, it's not just rejection, it's getting ghosted. And getting ghosted is like way worse because a straightforward rejection is just done and you can put it away and you're like, fuck. But if you get ghosted, it's just questions. It's just uncertainty and you're left with nothing. And I think that really, well, I know what it does to me. I can't speak for the masses, but I know what it does to me, and it tears me up, man. It really, you have a back and forth with a girl, and it seems to be going somewhere, and then it's nothing. It's like, what the fuck? And I think that shit really does something to your brain, because there's evidence to show that if you fail repeatedly at various tasks, like literally all different kinds of tasks, but if you try to do something and the world tells you, "Nah, son, you suck," and beats you down, your brain changes. Let me find the validity for this. This is an article from Harvard Business Review, so it's been filtered a couple of times. I don't have time to go and read the actual research. Sorry, otherwise I would. But the idea is, they did a study and they discovered that how people motivate themselves and are motivated is intrinsically and significantly related to success and failure. Neurons in the prefrontal cortex and striatum, where the brain tracks success and failure, sharpen their tuning after success, and then your brain activity becomes more efficient. Okay, it's the winner and loser effects that we can find in base animals, and then there are a couple that don't show them, but mostly they do. It's how we structure hierarchies. When you win a lot, when you succeed a lot, and we see this in animals when they actually like fight, like rams who butt heads, or cows who butt heads, or deer who butt heads, or any of the other animals who fight or wrestle. The ones who win have a more consistent, are more likely to go back and try again, and they're more likely to win. And we can go and we can find the brain effects, the hormonal effects, and the physical, like physiological changes that happen to the parts of your brain that determine success or failure and actually determine your ability to achieve positive and negative emotion. Those change, and you reinforce the loops of success and failure. So if you fail a bunch of times and you really feel bad about it when you fail, it's going to reinforce really hard in you that you're a failure and you should just give up and stop trying. And if you succeed a bunch of times, the littlest times, it stacks up in your brain as like an identitarian identity thing that is like, I am the kind of person who succeeds when I put my mind to a task. And so this comes back down to the idea that I was trying to get out a number of times, which is like, start doing one thing, little things, right? Start succeeding at micro promises to yourself, okay? Because every time you fail to keep a promise to yourself, I think it activates the same system. That's a theory. I don't have the grounding to say that, but it seems correct to me. Every time you say, I'm going to read a book today, and then you don't read a fucking book today, it reinforces that you're a failure who doesn't keep his word and doesn't do the things he's supposed to do. And every time that you say, I'm going to put one thing away on my desk every day, and then you do it, it's like dink, 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 and that's one little tiny grain of sand at the base of a giant pyramid of aiming toward your potential for success. And you can get all those little things stacked up, and the process of doing those little things actually makes you more likely to win when you attempt the big things, because you're more attuned to winning. You're actually capable of winning in your own mind. You're allowed to succeed because you've succeeded at like 1,000 tiny tasks before. So when you want to step into difficulty, you're capable of succeeding at it. Amazing. Similarly, this is like, it's the way that we reinforce the ability to step into hardship. Like when you go to the gym, it's hard. When you go to work out, it's hard. It sucks. Well, your body knows that it sucks, and your brain knows that it sucks, but your brain and body also know that you need to do it and that it's good for you. And that's why if you push through, what you end up getting is a massive release of dopamine and endorphins, and we say endorphins as though it's like one thing, but it's a network of extremely complicated, valuable, not just good feeling, but motivational hormones and chemicals that tell you that what you just did to yourself was worth it. We release endorphins and dopamine and stuff when we experience pain too, which means that if you go and experience pain for a positive reward and you don't focus on the reward, you focus on the process of stepping into pain, you get better at stepping into pain and you reinforce the systems and structures inside your brain that are capable of doing so. That is, when you act brave, you get braver. That's mind-blowing. And so here's the deal. Do little things, make tiny promises to yourself and keep them. I'm going to read one page at least of Carl Jung's Man and His Symbols today. I'm just going to do it right now because I haven't done it yet. Fuck. God, that's so cool. Oh, it's such a cool... it's so cool. Jung is so fucking interesting, man. Oh, it's so interesting. The best thing from this statement is, quote, "It is for this reason that I have always said to my pupils," quote, within quote, "learn as much as you can about symbolism, then forget it all when you are analyzing a dream," end quote, end quote. Learn as much as you can about symbolism, and then forget it all when you're actually doing the analysis. And when he says a dream, really, like, he means dreams. He's specifically talking about the individual psychotherapeutic nature of dreams and the ability to use those as windows into the soul of a person. But I extrapolate from that, and I'll extrapolate from that and say, when he says dreams, there's no difference really except in the articulateness between a dream and a story. Right? So when you interpret a story, you want to bring to bear all of your knowledge about symbolism and then also step away from it and go, maybe the author isn't actually trying to or doesn't know consciously that they're using those symbols, and I have to evaluate this as though the symbols might mean anything and might not mean what I think they mean. Because otherwise I'll just project my own problems onto the symbology and the symbolism in the story. And that's just right, and something that I have to keep in mind, because obviously I project onto stories. It's the whole job that I do is to react to things, which is to say, show what reflects in me from the thing. So that's pretty cool. Thanks, Jung. So the idea there is this. You stack up these little behaviors that are successful, and you stack up behaviors that force you to do difficult things that you don't want to do. And the best one that I've found so far, also because it's really physically rewarding, is an ice cold fucking shower, baby. Go in head first. It's the only way. If you try to put your foot in, you're gonna pussy out. You're gonna pussy out. You gotta put your head in first, and then as soon as you're gonna and you gotta regulate your breathing. So try to and breathe through it and stand under the cold shower and start moving, right? Like, start getting your shower done, start getting the water through your hair, and start getting the soap in you, and go, ah! And my roommates and people think that I'm out of my gourd, and I am. I'm totally insane, and that's fine. I am a deranged monster, and good for it. They think I'm insane because it was like 10:30 at night because I forgot to take my shower after the gym last night until later, and I get into an ice cold shower in the cold windy night, and it's like, ah! And I'm screaming. Just like, ooh, whoa, that's got me. Like, wow, it will get you. And man, it gets you. And it's fucking awesome, man. But that's what it's for. The reason to do it isn't because getting into cold is transcendently powerful for your physicality. It is really good for you, as far as I can tell. It seems to be really good for my overall skin health. It seems to have been really good for my ability to do routines and to wake up and to feel alive and vibrant. It also seems good for muscular recovery and general well-being and stuff, and it potentially is good for hormone levels in general. I've said this before, but like my test level, and I'm just going to confirm this now. There's no way that it's anything else. My test levels are out of control. And again, I'll promise I haven't taken anything to do that except action. The only thing that I've taken that has made my testosterone spike is action. Really interesting. And fixing my sleep is the big one, because hormonal balance and sleep are interwoven. But my test levels are up, man. My libido is skyrocketed, and my general, like, my physical ability and muscular strength is up. My general muscle mass is up. My weight is stable, and I'm getting more muscular without gaining weight, which should be impossible. And it frankly, it is impossible unless you have an extreme degree of testosterone. And so that means that my test is up. What's shocking to me is that my hair hasn't started falling out. Maybe because my cortisol levels are low and my stress hormones are down. I have no idea. But I'm not that stressed, and I'm really motivated and fucking really horny too, which I am loath to admit because it's so embarrassing. But It's a lot, man. It's like being 13 again, really, or like 15 again. Or actually, it's like what 15 should have felt like, because I don't think that my puberty hit quite right. It's like, weirdly. But that's kind of neither here nor there. The core idea is do things that are hard and tell yourself that they're worthwhile, and do things that are not even hard, that you just don't want to do, and accomplish tasks and win a bunch, and celebrate your tiny wins and really make them conscious about your tiny wins. Like, man, I ate breakfast this morning. Sick. Man, I got out of bed at a reasonable time. Yeah, let's go. And physically embody happiness. Smile and pat yourself on the back, or pat yourself on the head, or do a little fist pump. Do something that embodies happiness. It really changes things. It lets your whole system know that what I did was good. Yeah, let's go. Roar. Like, go outside and scream at the sky and go, ah, or something. I'm serious. I think it actually might change your life, because it's changing mine. Now, I'm doing a whole bunch of things at once, so it's hard to attribute all of these successes to all of these things. It might be just some of the things, but all of the things that I'm doing are backed by some degree of science, I think, at least the ones that I'm able to consciously articulate, and they're working for me, man. Oh. Okay. So that's my whole idea about striving forward into the whatnot. But this is, we come back to the two gorgeous girls. There was so there was the one girl who my friend had known, and so I introduced us. And what that did essentially is, like, we have seen each other, this person and I, and my friend group and whatnot. We have seen each other dozens of times, because we go to the gym 3 times a week, and she seems to go 3 or more times a week on the same schedule or similar schedule to us. And she's relatively reclusive, and you know, isn't like staring around at the gym, but she knows who we are, and we know who she is, and there's no connection there. So we're just weird people who don't know each other, don't communicate, but exist in the same space. And now we're not. Now we're at least acquaintances. We're at least human beings with names to put to our faces, and she's heard our voices, and we've waved and smiled at each other, and we're part of a larger community now, simply by nature of having spoken, and spoken in a way that indicates that I'm not trying to hurt her, which is kind of what it seems like most people think of most other people most of the time. You know, we've got these ideas that are like, well, no, people are mostly good, but then we act as though people are mostly murderers and psychopaths, and that's just not the case. Every single person that I've talked to in a public space so far, has lit up at being talked to, male and female, honestly. Like, and I'll talk to guys too, but usually it's in the process of going up to them and just being like, hey man, are you using this equipment? Hey dude, nice set. Wow, good. Wow, you've got great form. I do this to everybody that I see. If I see something worth complimenting in their behaviors and actions, I compliment it. And when it comes to guys, I'll sometimes compliment their physiques too because it feels less weird. And I'll just be like, "Damn, you've really built out your back. I'd really like to know how you did that. What do you recommend? What do you think?" You know, and ask people for questions, or like, "Wow, your shoulder mobility is so cool. How did you do that?" And just give people the floor for a second. Ask them an interesting question and let them teach, because mostly people like to teach a lot. And some of the people who are around you actually know stuff. So asking them good questions about what they know is like real good. But yesterday we were upstairs in the gym, foam rolling and stretching and doing our mobility stuff, which we do after we do the main workout stuff. So I had just squatted a recent PR since my cut and like getting stronger right now again. I squatted some heavy weight. And we went and we benched, and the bench went well, and I figured some things out about my shoulders and my setup that are really quite helpful for the bench, which is kind of cool. And then I went and I deadlifted really hard. And then we went and actually our gym has these nice squat racks, but the barbells are terrible. They're terrible. And they're not just nice squat racks, they're platforms, lifting platforms with bumper plates for doing like Olympic lifts and stuff, but the barbells are terrible. They don't have good bearings on them, so they don't spin. And upstairs where the benches are, there are a bunch of bars with really good bearings on them that spin really well, and you need that for Olympic lifting. So I went to the guy at the front desk who is the manager of the whole place, and was like, "Hey Rich," because that's his name. "Hey Rich, I just wanted to ask you, so the barbells down there kind of suck, and there are some really good barbs that I want to use for Olympic lifting that are upstairs. Can I swap them?" And he was like, "Sure, man. I don't see a problem with that." I was like, "Fuck, shit." I thought he was going to totally reject me, and he didn't. Awesome. So I went up with my friend, and we went and we stole a barbell and swapped them out with another barbell and did some Oli lifting downstairs. It was amazing. It was wonderful. But we went upstairs, and we were foam rolling out. My God, it was so, gorgeous girl walks in, very thin, very petite, very, very cute, really cute. Not going to describe her more than that, but I found her very attractive immediately. I was like, wow, that's a pretty girl. Walks right up to me and right past, within a foot of me, walks past for no reason that I can tell. Like, she was going and getting equipment, but there was equipment that was way out of the way, and sets her shit up like a foot away from me, angled at me, and I'm just like, okay, interesting. And then it was a wild time. It was like a couple of minutes of trying to catch her eye and doing my own shit too. I wasn't just like sitting there being a creep waiting, right? I was doing my own shit and just doing my shit in my position, but trying to catch her eye and get a wave, right? And finally I got the wave, and I used it to compliment the little ab routine that she was doing, because it looked fucking hard. She was doing like Russian twists and planches, or not planches are way harder, and planks and shit. I was like, wow, that's awesome. You're really working on your core a lot. She's like, oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes. I love working on my core and I was like, okay, well, that's really cool. I love working on core stability and stuff too. Do you squat heavy and do you deadlift? Those are the things that I find most useful. And she was like, oh, I've never deadlifted in my whole life. So I was like, okay, well, I have to go, but next time I see you, we're here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'm going to teach you to deadlift. And she was like, oh my God, that would be great. Wow. And I should have gotten her number or something, but I didn't want to push my luck. And so after getting her attention, I went, my name is, and I gave her my real name, and she gave me her name, and I have forgotten it because it was a weird name. It was a weird name, and I was like running it in my head over and over. I was like, that's the name, name, trying to reinforce it. And then my friend was like, hey man, what's that? And I got distracted by something as we were getting into the car. I was like, wait, what was the name? No. So I know the first 3 letters of her name, and her name is like 12 letters long. Fuck me. So I'm going to go up to her the next time that I see her anywhere, and I'm going to go, hi, first 3 letters of your name. Please tell me your full name so that I can remember it. And then I'm going to say, great, I'm going to remember that forever. Now let me go show you how to deadlift so that you can build your butt. Because that's the way that the conversation went down, was like, have you done deadlifts? And she was like, no. And I was like, deadlifts are awesome. They're really good for urine. I slap my own ass. And she's like, oh, really? That's really cool. I love working my glutes. I'm like, yeah, I know, you're female. Like, every girl that I've talked to who has learned how to deadlift is like, this is the best exercise in the world. It's like, yeah, it is. It absolutely is. So it went well, is the thing that I'm saying. And I've got no attachment to this girl, and I'm not even really trying to hit on her, to be clear. I wanted to talk to her because she was a human who was in my space, and I found her attractive because I think she's attractive. And also, I saw what she was doing, and there are things that I could like help and share, and maybe she has things that she knows about that she could share with me, and that would be really good. So I'm trying to befriend everybody. Trying to befriend everybody in the gym without ulterior motives, really. Like, really without ulterior motives. And that is to say, all of the ulterior motives are absolutely there, and I will be absolutely honest about them if I have to. But, and I'll be straightforward about it. And I won't hide it. And I'll be active and awake in myself as a human, as an element of a community first, before I act as a sexual element of a community. Does that make sense? Like, I'm there at the gym to go to the gym and improve myself and help improve and watch the other people around me improve. And maybe if I can help them, then that would be good. But I don't want to be arrogant in that helping of them, because I don't know everything. And there are certainly a lot of people at the gym who know a bunch of things that I don't. And so I like to watch a little bit and make sure that I'm not just assuming before I jump in and give advice, especially unsolicited advice, because that shit's whack. And girls get that all the time, as guys who come up to them and mansplain how to do exercise, and they're just like, fuck this shit. But I see this girl who's like physically underdeveloped in terms of and out of alignment in the way that she's developed, and I can see the pattern there, because I know what people look like when they like do full body compound movements, or are runners, or are like cyclists, or are things that work your whole body in an effective way, and you end up being a healthy entity. And she's not that. And so I saw that and I was like, you're beautiful and you deserve to be capable and have the tools to build a body that's spectacular. And so that was the angle at which I approached this girl. I don't know. That was the angle I came at, and that's the angle that I keep coming at, is just like, oh, down to the nub honest. Like, no shell, just honesty, human being desperate for connection, actually seeking it out with the bravery to step into the cold shower and into the fire of the unknown and seek out connection with people who are interesting, and it fucking works. I don't know. I don't know if I can convince you that it works, because maybe I have to put a camera, like wear a body cam around all the time and record everything. In fact, I've really thought about doing that. Is like, how legal would that be? And the answer is it's actually quite legal. I'm in California, and if you're having a private conversation, you cannot record it without consent. But if you're in a public space, you can record. And so there's a distinct possibility that I might start recording everything soon, because it might be worthwhile, and then I might turn into a 24-hour streamer or some weird shit as like a side thing. What an odd idea, but I'd consider it. I'd really consider it, to just show the whole process, I don't know. Anyway, those are my stories from the day. I'm going to go through a couple of comments. It's 35 minutes into the brew, so maybe I'm not really going to do much comment spotlight. I want to get moving today. I also think that I'm going to record Mushoku Tensei today, even though it's Thursday and I'll be fucking with more of my schedule. I think I would like to. Okay, I'm going to go through comments, see if there's anything really good. Comment from Ants in My Eyes Johnson. T, do you want some direct criticism? If not, then don't read this, but if so, obviously I do. Otherwise I wouldn't ask for it. Well, I guess I might ask for it and then dismiss it, because I wouldn't actually want it, and that would be if I were truly a liar and was not as capable of taking criticism as I represent myself as being. But I think I am as capable of taking criticism as that, or at least close, because golly, I've taken some serious criticism in the last weeks, months, and I don't think I've dismissed most of it offhand, honestly. I think most of the people who've been willing to actually critique and do so in and discuss back and forth, we've come to some degree of understanding where maybe they hold true to their criticisms, and maybe I agree too, and maybe I haven't fixed the thing yet, but I at least recognize that at least one person sees that as being a problem in the way that I'm acting, and that's like, well, that's legitimate. That's not, it's not something to completely dismiss just because I don't comprehend it immediately or whatnot. So the direct criticism is, you do kind of talk too much, and then most of the whole thing is exactly about that. And then also qualifying, and it's like, I even see supposed professionals make the same mistake often enough. I'm not bringing this up to be a jerk or because I'm the best, or because I think I'm so much better than you. I'm a terrible speaker, but because you said you wanted to be the best and you have my support. No, Answer My Eyes Johnson, you're 100% right. I talk too much. It's why I called myself T Talks Too Much, and that's why you put the smiling, laughing faces in there, and I know. This was specifically in regards to the podcast that I had with Psyculturists. And you're right, I was just so damned excited to talk about some of this stuff with somebody who, like, understands it. And frankly, to get, in my mind, to get, like, the smidgenest bit of validation from somebody who's actually has a little bit better training in these fields than I do, right? Because I've got all these ideas about psychology and about the brain and the way that we work and what's going on in the reaction field. And the whole reason that I wanted to reach out to Sai was to talk to him about the process and see if we were on the same page about these things. Because if I'm on the same page with somebody who's been actively and effectively trained in good institutions and runs an effective practice, psychotherapeutic practice, as well as many other things, and has some of his life in order, then maybe I'm on to something. And maybe I'm not a total flailing fool. So that was why I was really excited to to spew all of my shit out and get Ed's reactions to it, essentially, seeking that social validation in the exact same way. But you're 100% right, and what I would love to do is I'd love to get Ed on and frame the discussion differently, because the way that it ended up going was Ed ended up asking me a lot of questions, essentially, which is him slipping into his therapist role. And of course, as a professional talker person, it's very easy for me to slip into the talking a lot role, and so we filtered into that side of things. So what I'd love to do is have Ed back on and just frame it as, I don't get to talk except to ask questions from you. And to jump off of what you're saying and like, you know, do the back and forth thing. But I want a version of that podcast where it's mostly Ed talking and mostly me prompting him. And we set that out as ground rules from the beginning, and so we keep each other on the line there. And mostly he keeps me on the line there because he's more capable of stepping out from the discussion than I am. He's got more training and more experience. But you're right, and I'll try. And we'll see, because I'm going to keep talking too much. It is the fucking thing that I'm here to do, is to talk too much about the things that matter. Because, Spotify, fucking Senator Poppin' Fresh keeps hitting me on this. He's right. Spotify uploads. So here's the issue, is that it takes like an hour of processing to process. It takes like the same length of the thing to take the video and then to process and rip the audio file out and put it into a format that can be uploaded as an RSS feed. Because it just takes time and processing. What I'm going to look into is seeing if there's any way to automate that stuff. Because if I could automate some my shit, that would be very helpful. And so I'll look into it. I'm going to try to get everything up on Spotify. I do also think that I don't know that these are the best for videolessness, you know? But I do think that there are a lot of people who want to listen to them as just a listenable thing instead of as a video. So, fuck. I gotta determine it. And, you know, you're right. You're right, Senator Poppin' Fresh. You're right. Answer My Eyes Johnson also asked me, what nootropics do you take? Is there a specific brand you'd recommend, or were you just referring to that collection of supplements you take for breakfast? So I'll be specific. The things that I know work / am confident in for real are caffeine and theanine as a base. That's what's in green tea. What makes green tea feel zen-y and calm-y instead of jittery like coffee. Caffeine and theanine is the bomb, dude. Getting it from green tea seems to be the best that I've found, because it also comes with all of the alkaloids and polyphenols and fucking all the other shit that I'm misrepresenting as names. But green tea's got good shit in it. We know that it does, to some extent, you know, moderation and everything, but green tea is pretty good. And the chemicals in green tea that mostly contribute to that feeling are caffeine, and you know what that does. It's a central nervous system stimulant, and it makes you think faster, and makes all your body faster. It's also it's pretty mild as far as stimulants go, which is quite good. But too much caffeine makes you jittery. Shit, what do you do? Well, L-theanine is a compound. It's just an amino acid, that a base amino acid, like something that you need, and you need it. Your body makes some of it, but you need more of it. But if you take a bunch of it, it makes you calm and sleepy, which makes it very useful. You'll very often see L-theanine in like melatonin or sleep aid supplements because it makes you calm and sleepy. It's not like a knockout drug, to be clear. It's not like taking Benadryl where it just makes you and go out. It just makes you, it's like a regulation of your system's level of sleepy. The same kind of sleepy that happens when you eat like a good bit of food, kind of. It's like sleepy. I don't know how to describe it. So here's the cool thing. L-theanine makes you sleepy, which is not good, but it also makes you calm, which is quite useful. Now, sleepy can be good, but in general, in the daytime, you don't want to be sleepy, so not good. Caffeine makes you awakey, but also jittery and anxious and not calm. What happens when you put together is really interesting. The sleepy part cancels out, and the jittery part cancels out. So what you get is awake and calm. Ooh, that's cool, right? So caffeine on its own makes you awake but jittery. L-theanine on its own makes you calm but sleepy. Caffeine plus L-theanine makes you awake and calm, and not jittery or sleepy. Pretty fucking cool. So take caffeine and L-theanine, experiment with your doses, do some research, use green tea mostly, I think. But if you can find a nootropic supplement, and if you find one, check it and see whether it has, like, I don't know, about 100 milligrams of caffeine and about 50 to 100 milligrams of L-theanine. Let me check. Sorry, I got the ratio wrong. It's 1 to 2. So like 100 milligrams of caffeine is all you need. That's like a nice, like 2 strong cups of coffee is 100 milligrams of caffeine, which is saying something, because most caffeine pills that you can buy are 200 milligrams of caffeine. And you can do this. You can buy just chemical caffeine pills and chemical L-theanine and take the both, and it works. But it doesn't work as well as green tea. And if you find a nootropic supplement that actually like lists out the numbers and stuff, that usually works pretty well too. Caffeine and L-theanine is baller. Noopept, Noopept. Noopept is it's a brand name. It's N-phenylacetyl L-propylglycine ethyl ester. Fuck. Oh, and I got a comment a little earlier today that was about like, oh, it seems like you're doing the don't eat anything you can't pronounce thing. Motherfucker, I can pronounce any chemical compound. Try me. Any fucking chemical compound. Try me. I've got the backing in chemistry, and I've got the backing in medical science, and I've got the backing in Latin. I can do it. I can do it. And I'm good with words. So hit me with your complicated chemical compounds, and I'll knock those fuckers out. N-phenylacetyl L-propylglycine ethyl ester. That's Noopept. What does it do? Well, it's like Aracetam, which is a whole family of drugs. They provide a mild cognitive boost, and they also make a slight psychostimulatory effect. Noopept has a really low standard dose. It's like 10 to 30 milligrams. I take 20 milligrams a day, and I take it immediately in the morning. It's the first thing that I take in the morning. I take that, my SSRI, and the last thing that I'll mention, which is a NAD Plus supplement. But it provides, as far as we've been able to tell, repeatedly in multiple studies, and this stuff is like fully purchasable in many places and regulated and can be prescribed in many places that are not the United States, but is considered a supplement in the United States, which means you can just go and buy it, and it's fully legal to own and buy. It's not a problem, and there are very few dangers, which is interesting. So it has a neuroprotective effect. Your neurons have a myelin sheath around them that holds them together. You can think of it like electrical wires with a rubber coating, right? It keeps the wire from sparking out, and that keeps like cross electricity from crossing borders or being weird. And the strengthening of your myelin sheaths, myelination, really helps your neurological function in some ways that we don't fully understand. But I would assume it's to some degree similar to making sure that all the circuits in your hypercomplicated computer are well coated and grounded and covered in rubber or plastic so that they don't cross wires or electromagnetically interfere with each other. Given that I think that our whole brain is this big electromagnetic apparatus, having things not cross paths seems really good. And Noopept improves myelination. It also has a neuroprotective effect that is shown to be quite effective during states of cognitive trauma, which it lists as oxidative stress and physical trauma. So literally getting hit in the head, it makes you less damaged when you get hit in the head. Memory and cognitive decline, it's got pretty significant benefits as far as we can tell. It doesn't seem to increase memory in otherwise healthy rodents that were tested, but it does seem to restore memory to rats that have had a removal of some portion of their brain or some other sort of physical damage to their brain, which is really interesting. And the restorative effect on memory has been noted in rats subject to compression damage, concussions, strokes, cerebral hypoxia, so lack of oxygen to the brain, oxidative stress, which is just general stress to your brain overall, and stress that's caused by certain foods and stuff, cholinergic toxin scopolamine injections, and the use of anticholinergics, which fuck with your other stuff, and in bilateral frontal lobectomy, and it has protective effects on oxidative damage all over the place. It's also been shown to demonstrate a decrease in anxiety in humans, to some extent, and one study investigating a very small sample size of 53 persons noted universal improvement on parameters of vascular cerebral damage and improvement on half of measured parameters of trauma. Fatigue, anxiety, irritability, apathy, and affective lability were improved as well, and in the piracetam group as well. And further benefits were noted on mood, sleep, and wakefulness, especially in those who had cognitive ailments stemming from vascular damage. It also there hasn't been a lot of study on depression, but there has been one study that assessed depressive symptoms on people who had cognitive trauma, the same study actually, and it had an effect, a slight effect. And you imagine that's because maybe your brain is working better, so you're more capable of handling the traumas and struggles of the world. So I take Noopept every day because it's pretty fucking cheap comparatively, and it works real good. I've been taking racetam-based substances, piracetam, oxiracetam, aniracetam, Noopept itself, and phenylpiracetam, coluracetam. It's a whole family of psychoactive, brain-altering, very slightly brain-altering substances. You know, like acid or a psychedelic is like a big brain alterer. These are like a little shift. They're like a very thin lens that changes your perceptive structure and your way of being. And in many ways, like, a lot of the time when I've had friends who've been like, hey, can I get some of that to try it so that I can try studying really hard? They'll go like, I don't really feel anything. And I'll go, my dude, you've been studying for 3 hours without taking a break. And they're like, oh, you're right. I kind of have. They're like, I don't really feel more focused. I'm like, you've read 200 pages of your textbook and written 30 pages of notes, dog. What are you talking about? I'm like, but I don't feel amped or anything. It's like, no, because that's what you expect. You expect the feeling of like a stimulant, of like caffeine or nicotine or amphetamines, or, you know, if you've had Adderall or something like it. I've abused Adderall once in college. I tried it once and I did not like it very much, but it was quite effective. Very effective, in fact. Probably in part because I probably have some ADHD symptoms, and so probably ironed those out real good. But that's totally not the effect that you get from like Noopept or the other racetams. You get a very subtle effect that unless you're really attuned to it, you're not going to notice it, but it is very much real. Very much real, and a very, very significant change in behavior that's quite valuable, and a slow, significant change in. You'll start to notice things if you take Noopept consistently. For example, it's one of those substances that kind of has to build up inside of you, as far as I can tell. You have to take it for a few days before it really starts to affect you, and you'll start to notice that you're recalling things that you didn't remember before. It's like, wow, how did I remember that even? You know, stuff from the distant past, or like childhood memories that you've put away, and stuff like that. You start remembering weird things. It's quite interesting, and I would recommend trying Nuapept. The only place I know of that sources Nuapept effectively, I'm not related to this company at all. I have been purchasing from this company for years, and I've never had a bad experience with their products, is nootropicsdepot.com. nootropicsdepot.com. nootropicsdepot.com it's the source that I trust for a lot of these things. They sell a whole bunch of stuff that isn't terribly useful, or at least isn't terribly well proven to be useful. It might be shown to be in the future, but the goal for the storefront is to have a pretty complete, wide variety of all of the potentially legal supplementary nootropics and other supplements, and that means that some of them are actually kind of bullshit. They're just the potentially valuable ones, okay? So you got to do your research first, and so I'd recommend that you go to examine.com. That's a site. It's examine.com. Examine.com has a full page with a listing and a bunch of like research and linked articles. It's what I was just reading from on Nuapept. It's got a page with a full listing of articles, usually well peer-reviewed and well put together, of all of the basic research on pretty much any supplement or substance that you can find. Let me just show you this. I think it's examine.com/supplements. Yeah. So what you get if you go, I'll just screenshot this. Pow. If you go to examine.com/supplements, there's this list of popular supplements. And so if you want to figure out what a lot of people are taking recently, and then you can click on each one and figure out why they're taking it and what the studies say about it and whether it's actually bullshit or not, you can see this list. Okay, so alpha GPC, which is a cholinergic base, ashwagandha, which is quite useful for calm. It doesn't work really well for me. I don't vibe well with ashwagandha, but there are a couple of different kinds, so I might have to try some higher quality ashwagandha. Berberine, I have not tried. Beta alanine is in my pre-workout. Branched chain amino acids are just BCAAs. You can get them from pretty much any protein source. You don't need to take them specifically, but they are valuable. Cannabidiol is CBD, and lots of people take it. Citrulline is another amino acid that gets turned into L-arginine, and it becomes useful for nitric oxide synthesis, so working out and weightlifting. Creatine is an extraordinary and simple supplement. If you lift weights or do any kind of exercise, you should be taking 5 grams of creatine approximately per day. Seriously, you should be taking creatine daily. It's another one that needs to build up in your system, but it is quite effective, and it's naturally produced in the body, made in the liver and the kidneys, and it stores high energy phosphate groups, which are then donated to ADP to create ATP, which is your primary cellular energy source in your body. So having a bunch of extra creatine in you means that your muscles can fire and fire really hard and then fire again in a way. And so if without creatine, you'd go a number of fires, so like 5 firings of your muscle really hard, and then you'd be dead and you'd have no power, right? And creatine, if you have enough of it in your system, it's like an extra battery. It's like if your phone battery is you, okay, and then you have an external like USB charger that's creatine, and so you go until your battery's almost dead, and then you plug into the extra charger and you're like, let's keep going. And so you can imagine if you're trying to stress yourself and you're trying to stress your musculature in the gym or something, the ability to go a little bit further is everything. And creatine lets you get 1 more rep or 2 or 10 more pounds. And that's not nothing, man. It's a lot. So take creatine. It's dirt cheap. It is dirt cheap to take creatine. Everybody takes it as powders. I don't like taking it as powder. It never dissolves quite right for me. You get it micronized. Let me see what Optimum Nutrition creatine costs now. I take them in capsules. So it's the price has changed significantly. Oh, that is what I bought. Is that I bought the bulk supplements, creatine monohydrate capsules. So those they're smaller capsules. So that's 7 capsules is 5 grams total. I don't take 7 because I get some from my pre-workout as well. So I think I take 3 to 4 capsules every morning. I take a little bit less. I'm also quite small, so I don't need as many. But it's $20 for 300 capsules. So if you take 3-ish a day, or even if you take 6 a day, that's a couple months of capsules for $20, and that's creatine for months. Okay, so that's quality workout. Now you don't need to take it if you're not fucking working out, but you should be working out, so you should be taking creatine too. Curcumin. It's what's in turmeric, which is useful, especially with piperine, I think. Curcumin and piperine, it does some crazy things to inflammation and reduces your inflammation all over, and might help with arthritis and might help with depression and anxiety overall as well, which is kind of cool. I haven't tried DHEA. Fish oil is an obvious one. It's a good source of omega-3 fatty acids. I take krill oil because it's kind of the same as far as I can tell, and it's got a little slightly different ratio, and it's seems a little bit nicer. I take Antarctic krill oil. It's you can get it. It's also, I mean, it feels to me like getting it from krill seems fully sustainable. Krill grow like gangbusters as long as the oceans aren't too fucked. And in fact, I think as the oceans get warmer, the krill production is going to go up, which is going to lead to some interesting bioexplosions, which should be interesting. L-carnitine is very useful in various ways. L-tyrosine, whatever, maca, magnesium, N-acetylcysteine, Rhodolia rosea, taurine, theanine. So, when you look at your energy drinks and you're like, what is taurine? Well, you can go and you can find out. Type 2 collagen, vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc are the popular supplements on here. But the list is huge, and you can go find relatively well-informed information. Use your judgment. I don't know that Examine is perfect, but it's pretty good. Relatively well-informed information about all of these things. And then I take a NAD Plus booster. So let's talk about that. Let me grab it really quick. Ugh. This is a bottle of Nuapept. I was wrong about my milligrams. I changed it. I'm taking 30 milligrams per day. This was a 90 count bottle of Nuapept capsules. They're teeny tiny little size whatever capsules, I forget. And they're not that expensive. Let me check the price on them so that I don't lie to you. The powder is, of course, cheaper. The capsules, 30 milligrams in a 90 count jar, $25. 3 months. 3 months of genuinely significant brain improvement. This isn't some stupid mixed supplement that you can buy that Alex Jones is trying to sell you, and I have no affiliation with this except that I've been using it for a long time. $25. 3 months. Worth a shot. It's really worth a shot. Okay. This is one variant. There are a lot of different brands of this stuff, and I have nothing that says that this brand is better than the other ones. Except that they've done a good job of demonstrating that the way that they've put their chemicals together is actually useful. So it's OptiNAD. It's nicotinamide riboside chloride, nicotinamide mononucleotide, quercetin, trimethylglycine, and apigenin. And reduced nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, NADH. Okay, so the reason for all of these, that you're trying to accelerate your NAD plus levels. There's some very recent research that nicotinamide riboside it's just a may, contribute to specifically the growth of what seems to be existing brain cancers. Now, the thing about this stuff is that, as far as I can tell, what this stuff does is it prevents cell aging, or helps with cell aging, and increases cell division rates. So you might expect that something that boosts overall cell replacement and division rates might contribute to rampant cell division, which is what cancer is. So I'll be wary of this, and I'm gonna go do more research. So maybe I won't recommend this directly to you. I'm glad that I researched it, but all the articles that I see right now are hyping it out of control as this is monstrous. May increase the chances. Yeah, it may increase the chances of existing cancers spreading toward the brain. Okay, so that's important. So there's definitely something worth looking into there. And so I won't champion this stuff. Again, I don't know everything. I don't know anything. I'm just trying to figure it out, just like you. So finding that out is quite interesting, and I'm going to use that to determine the stuff. Here's what I'll tell you about the nicotinamide, the NAD stuff, or the NAD boosters. And it may be that just the one nicotinamide riboside chloride is what's contributing to that, and the other ones aren't. We don't know. It's too complicated. But what I will tell you is that this stuff increases my overall energy level significantly. In general ability to function. It really changes it. So worth a try, maybe even given the risks. But I'm going to go and really investigate the risks. What's interesting is that I don't find any actual, like, effectively backed research on it. Accumulating evidence on the health benefits has validated its efficiency across numerous animal and human studies for the treatment of a number of cardiovascular, neurodegenerative, and metabolic disorders. Great necessity has arisen for rapid translation to therapeutic use and further establishment of its availability as a nutritional supplement. Here's all the available data. And they go through all of the available data in this NCBI study. It seems to really improve, like, mitochondrial energy and cellular energy and cellular reproduction, and improves homeostasis if you're missing it, absolutely. And so I don't know. There's one study by one woman who did 12 rats, and that came out in the last 2 days, and that's being heralded as, like, this thing's a cancer risk, and I don't know, man. But this is worth investigating, and I'll find out as soon as I can. So maybe skip this one for now. It's more expensive anyway. You don't need to buy it. Try Nuapept. No cancer risk known for this one. In fact, reduces the risk as far as I can tell. And also seems to contribute to preventing and helping with dementia and Alzheimer's, those things that are, as far as I can tell, the most terrible diseases known to man, because they destroy your brain mind, and that's not good. Those are the nootropics that I take, essentially. I also find a source of electrolytes and salts to be extremely useful in the morning, and I do that every morning. I go outside and I drink a thing of salts and electrolytes. And I'm not purchasing a salts mix. I'm just taking Himalayan salt and grinding it into my cup. It's disgusting, but I don't care. And then a scoop of an electrolyte powder that I went and found, which was the one that I found that was cheapest. It was by a company called Keppi, Keppi Electrolytes, and that stuff was okay. Binkelderg, how do you determine something interesting about a girl that she wasn't born with when you're just coincidentally passing by each other for the first time, though? Those short windows most of the time don't allow you to perceive them in a non-superficial way. It's an all-or-nothing gamble in a matter of seconds before you never see them again, and you don't want to let go of that opportunity, obviously. Okay, compliment them on what they're doing, ask them about something in the environment, or, well, here's the thing, women represent themselves on themselves. Okay, they represent themselves physically on themselves, right? Their way of putting themselves together, the way that they have their makeup arranged, the way that they have their hair arranged, what are accessories they have in their hair, any jewelry that they have, the clothing that they're wearing, the shoes that they're wearing. They care a lot about those things, and most of the time, they've put some energy into putting on what they think represents themselves to the outside world. So when you see the girl, try to see past her amazing body and eyes and face and all the beautiful things that your whole existence goes, right? You're like, oh, a beautiful person. Try to see past those, or cut those out and see what she's doing to represent herself in her form, okay? And it's in the way that she walks. It's in the way that she stands. It's in whether she's carrying a purse or not. It's whether she's wearing pockets. You know, if she's wearing clothes with pockets, that says something about that person, you know? Because there are women who don't wear clothes with pockets, and that says something. And there are women who wear jewelry and women who don't. And there are women who wear makeup and women who don't. And women who have their hair up and women who don't. And all those things are part of representation. They're part of their like sonar to the world that they're wanting reactions to, actually. And everybody is like this, but it seems women are very conscious of it, more so than men, generally, broadly, giant wide strokes. From my experience, blah, blah. Have I qualified it enough? Good. So my answer to Binkelderg was, badly, but you do your best. I'm still working on it, and I haven't figured it out. But that was a few days ago, and I've gotten closer. And the place that I've gotten closer is, well, I look for their actions, what they're doing, and what they're going for. Like, you see a girl at a coffee shop, and she orders a particular drink. You could ask her why she likes that kind of a drink, okay? Something that indicates that you're more than a penis walking around on legs who wants to fuck her. That would be good, because she's getting that a lot. Or she's getting weird stares and glances, and then guys feeling ashamed of the fact that they're attracted to her. because that's what she's getting a lot too, is guys going, oh, no, it's evil, it's creepy for me to look at you. And that's killing women, I think, actually, which is really interesting, right? Because the only people who seem to have the balls to go and approach are actually monsters. So think about that. I see these girls all over the place who are like, I'm waiting for my knight in shining armor. I'm waiting for my chivalrous man. And what do they mean? Well, they mean confident and not going to treat them like a piece of meat, essentially. The men in most circles that I know are absolutely balls out terrified of being seen as creepy. Because there is nothing, what's the greatest sin that a young man can accomplish in today's day and age? It's not being a fucking murderer. Hell, you murder somebody and you're going to get celebrated by some people. It's fucked up out there. It's being creepy and being rejected by the world and getting canceled for it or something like that. Or like some girl makes a post on TikTok that's like, oh my God, this guy is looking at my butt in the gym. That, it really is terrifying to me. That's the thing that really scares me, especially because I have a public profile, right? Like I'm a public entity and an honest one. And so if in my honesty someone interprets me as being lecherous or evil or manipulative or any of those things, they can post that all over the place and just be like, hey, watch out for this Teaboo guy. He glanced at me funny at the gym and was looking at my butt, right? Terrifying. Absolutely. Just talking this through, my gut is literally clenched. It's like, whoa, it's really scary. It's really scary. So I get it. Okay? But imagine that every well-adjusted young man, relatively well-adjusted young man, feels that way. Most of us is like we really don't want to hurt women. Okay? Do you vibe with this? I think you probably vibe with this. You probably don't want to hurt women. You probably would love to form some connections with them and come to understand them better because they're weird and interesting and beautiful. Okay? You probably don't want to hurt them. Now, you probably have parts of you that are lusty and rapacious and desiring and greedy and all these things, but that's not all of you, right? Mostly, there's something about you that is compelled toward people you find attractive, and that's natural, but society says that it's not, right? Society says that you're a creep if you go and you approach women. And, if you do it badly and you do it creepily, you might be. But here's the thing. The guys who really do go out and approach are the ones, more than anyone, are the ones who don't give a shit. And part of the reason that a lot of them don't give a shit is because they've given up and they don't see any point in life. They're just there and just owned by their rapaciousness and greed and lust, okay? Right? And that's the bad boy, okay? That's the bad boy tatted up, dude that she's falling for and then getting destroyed by, because I meet a lot of these girls who are like, yeah, I was in a relationship with this guy for a while and he totally abused me, cheated on me continuously, and destroyed me, and I don't know what happened. It's like, well, I know what happened. He was confident enough to win your affections and had nothing else going on because he's actually a monster who just wanted to use you. And he didn't have himself in line before he went and misaligned somebody else. So here's the thing. Are you a person who wants legitimate connection with women? Is that something that you'd like? If so, go and speak to them and do so honestly with a smile on your face and a real one and your eyes locked on their eyes. It's the hardest thing in the world to do, is to keep your eyes on her eyes, especially because her tits are right there. They're right there, man. God, it's so difficult. It's so hard. Wah. But you just do it, okay? And treat her like she's a human and she'll light the fuck up. Because mostly she gets treated like either she doesn't exist, like the guy is so terrified of her that he's never going to speak to her effectively, or like a piece of meat. And none of those work. So treat her like a person, and it might work. And part of that is seeing beyond her physicality to something that she's done, something that she's wearing. Because the choice of wearing is an action. It's an embodiment. It's a way of being. Even if it's just, wow, I really like your style. Wow, your shoes are super cute. But if you can get it to be something that's action, that works really well. And that works great in the gym because people are there to improve themselves and to work, right? And even if somebody's kind of fucking around, you can compliment them on it and be like, you're really working hard. And you don't lie. Like, first off, I don't approach people who aren't working hard. If I see a really hot girl who's just, and I see this occasionally, who's just like kind of posing in the gym and doing that sort of thing, I don't fucking talk to her. I'm not interested. She has not caught my attention, regardless of how beautiful she is. I don't give a shit. I'm at the gym to work, and she needs to be too. And even if she's not working effectively, if she's working, that's something worth complimenting. So find something that it seems like maybe she's worked on. Step out of yourself and go, if I were this person, what might make my day better? How about that? Because I've done the thing where I also just compliment people on their physicality. I did this a couple of weeks ago. There was a woman, and I saw her from afar. She was working out on the field, like 50 feet away from me or something. Fantastic physique, like really, really lovely. Tall, blonde, well-structured, maybe Scandinavian or something. Like, gorgeous woman. And as I was finishing my workout or getting done, I walked all the way across the field directly looking at her, which was terrifying because she glanced up and saw me and was like, the fuck is happening? And so it became very awkward. And so I waved and I walked closer, and she took her headphone out. I was like, yeah? I was like, what? Because she's sitting in the middle of nothing, right? There's no excuse around her. There are no weights, no like rubber bands or barbells or things that I need to get from her area. I'm obviously walking toward her for like 50 feet. Okay. Walked up to her, said, hi, I'm really sorry to interrupt your workout. I just wanted to say you're absolutely radiant, and seeing you here today has made my day better. Thanks for being. And she went, thank you, and was like really confused, and I turned on my heel and walked away. Because it was sort of like, all right, that's my social difficulty for the day, I'm out. Because I was doing it because I wanted to say it to her because I thought it was true. She was gorgeous and really did improve my day. Just by being around, which is kind of a funny thing that women don't realize that they do to us, is like guys at the gym joke about there being motivation around when there are cute girls at the gym. It's fucking true, man. Oh, baby, it's true. All you have to do, I mean, we should do a study of this, is get a bunch of people, get two groups of people, right, and have them try to PR on a lift, like try to hit a personal record deadlift by like 10 pounds, like a pretty big jump of a PR deadlift. And have like 30 people try a 10-pound PR without anybody around, with like just some guys around and just hanging out, and then have them try the 10-pound PR, and then have a different group of people, right, separate, randomly selected people who lift, try a 10-pound PR, but there are like 3 or 4 rather attractive women who are watching them. And I haven't done this study, obviously, but I'll bet you every single one of the dudes in the women watching group is gonna grind that fucking PR out. And I'll bet that some of the guys in the other group are gonna go like, I just can't, I just couldn't get it when they could have, right? Women do that to us, man. Like, really, they really changed the way that I behave. Having women around totally changes the way that I behave. And that seems correct, and that seems like it seems like exactly right, you know. There are stories about a lot of indigenous cultures and dances that have to do with the women taming the wild men, right? And that's the Beauty and the Beast story, which I'm coming to believe might be the best female myth. It might be Belle in Beauty and the Beast, right? Like, Belle's whole story is really cool. She's a really attractive, lovely woman who's doing well for herself and has quite a bit of confidence, mostly, as far as I remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. I gotta go watch it again and analyze it, like, hardcore. Of course, Disney's really hard to react to because they're very litigious and evil. And they own all the stories, which is rough. But there's this guy in her town named Gaston who's like the chaddest Chad. He's like, no one's like me. I'm fucking sick. My dick is 6 feet long and I'm made of musculature. And everybody's like, Belle, you should be fucking that guy. And she's like, nah, fam, I'm actually going to go find this interesting, subtle, loving, weird, damaged monster of a man who is more beast than he is man, but he's also got some things going on, and he's wealthy, and there are some intriguing things, and he's got some of his shit together, and he's got some weird relationships, and he's made some of the proper sacrifices and stuff, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna tame him. And what happens in the Beauty and the Beast story? Well, it goes back and forth and back and forth, and eventually she does tame him with love and affection and lust, you might say, and seduction, right? And she does seduce him and does tame him, and what happens? The beast that she seeks, who is not attractive to the rest of the world, becomes a handsome prince in her eyes. Now, in the story, he becomes a handsome prince in reality, but the framing is not that. The framing is the story for girls, which is this. Ignore the men who everybody tells you should be attracted to, who all your girlfriends are like, oh my god, he's so hot. Ignore them. Fuck them, dude. They're gonna get all the attention that they need, and they're gonna become monsters because of it, and Gaston is a monster because of it, right? He's just an arrogant, narcissistic prick. He's got nothing else going on. Go find the dude that nobody wants, who you think might be interesting, and go figure out what's interesting about him, and tame him, tame his monsters, and help him, and seduce him, and use your femininity to alter him, and then he will become beautiful to you. That's the story, is go tame a monster and make him your Prince Charming. And that's exactly the story, because all these 35-year-old women that I see on dating apps, because I spread my dating window out to the older women to see what they're dealing with, and it's not pretty, man. Oh boy, it's not pretty. You get a woman who's like 37, who's like still holding out for the right guy. Oh buddy, the right guy who's 37 is fucking 20-year-olds, dog. He's not looking for you. He's not looking for you anymore. So you gotta go out there and you gotta find a beast and tame him. Prince Charmings don't just grow on trees. They have to be made. And young men aren't being trained very well to be effective princes. You know? Like the kind of people who would bear the burdens of a state, of a populace, of a people. Our young men aren't being trained to be that, you know, let alone how to ride a horse and wear armor and fight and stuff and venture out into the forest on your own. No chance. So Sleeping Beauty is going to keep on sleeping, girl. Prince Charming isn't coming. Probably. Go out and find him. Now, the alternative is, if you're a man, what that means is there are a lot of women out there who are waiting for their Prince Charming, and you can just step up to them and go, hi, I'm here. What's up? And they'll be like, oh, what the fuck are you? And you'll be like, I'm an idiot, but I'm what you need. And that works, it seems. I'm trying it, at least. It seems worth trying. So there are flip sides to this, but I think Beauty and the Beast is like the narrative. So, you know, say something that might awaken Sleeping Beauty. How about, right? The idea is that true love's kiss is what awakens Sleeping Beauty. The sleeping feminine is awakened by true love's kiss, which is about right. But what does that mean? Like, well, he doesn't go up to the sleeping girl and grope her titties, because that might not awaken the sleeping feminine. That might awaken the dragon, and rightfully so. Well, he goes up to her and he gives her a chaste kiss on the lips, which is also still fucking creepy, right? Sleeping Beauty is a fraught myth. But goes up to her and gives her this representation of symbolic love, right? This representation of not being in it just for her physicality, of being interested in the beautiful person, being compelled by her. And he's like he's like, oh, it's exactly right. It's exactly right for the Prince Charming story. Even though it's fucked up and fraught, it's exactly right as a romantic narrative for a lot of people. And a useful one to know as a man, but so is Beauty and the Beast. And the idea in Beauty and the Beast is maybe be more beast than Gaston. And maybe us as men shouldn't be aiming to be like all the super chads with all the tats who are out there fucking girls and destroying them. Because that might not be it. Like, what if you could actually form legitimate friendships with those women? And I'm on the experience of here's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to form some really solid friendships with some women that I find extremely attractive. And I'm going to try my absolute best to restrain my rampant desire to fuck them. I'm going to try really hard to not let that out, but to make it very, very seriously aware or like explicit, you know? And I might go so far as to like talk to one of these girls and say, listen, I think you're really cute and there's a part of me that really wants you, and I'm going to sublimate it and put it away because I'd rather try to be friends with you. I want to try to do that, right? Because, like, I have a feeling that will make the girl fall head over heels for me. And I don't mean to do it in a manipulative way. I mean to do it in an experimental way and see what happens. And see whether I can do it. Because that seems like a damn cold shower to get into. Is like, all right, when I'm in close proximity to a beautiful woman, I am overwhelmed. So I should probably get closer in proximity to beautiful women and get more experience in being overwhelmed without the intent of leading it sexually. Like, what if I was capable of that? What if I was confident enough in myself to be around and near, like really near, like within pheromone distance, and maybe in physical contact, and maybe in touch with women that I find really attractive without melting, without falling apart? What if I was capable of doing that? That seems like something to idealize, actually. It seems like something that would be correct. Because if my goal really is to live around people and make the people around me better, then trying to do so just for my own selfish purposes and my own sexual gratification seems like lying. And so I want to get just slightly close enough to one of these really attractive women to risk it all and tell her straightforward, and this is going to be this is a stupid thing to do, but I'm going to try it anyway. Tell her straightforwardly that I really want her and that I don't want her. that I want her as a friend more than I want her. And I have the strange sneaking suspicion that doing that will absolutely lead to a better friendship and then a potentially more than friendship, which should be really interesting. But I'm going to say it. I'm going to steel myself and get my armor on and get my shield up and get my sword out and be ready for a fight with myself, right? Be ready for a fight with my whole animal brain, because my whole animal brain sees beautiful girl and just goes, ugh. And I'd like to rein that in and have it be a part of me that's mine, like really mine. All right, so blather. There we go. There's my answer for Binkelderg. It's a bad answer, but there it is. Senator Poppinfresh says, once again, reminding you to update Spotify. Yep. I'd also like to remind you of your goals when starting the brew. It doesn't matter how long or what the content is in these videos. What matters is that you upload every day, and you're correct. Could just be 7 seconds of you turning on the camera and teapot and then saying, I'm not feeling up to it today, and that would be fine because it would be something. You're correct. A promise to oneself is the hardest kind to keep in my experience, and yours to not break the chain of uploading seems to be faltering. Correct. This was a couple days ago. So I'm going to keep giving you reminders and be a part of that commitment. Correct. Also, I have the brew from yesterday that I still have to edit and render and upload. So this shit is too hard. This shit is too much, and I need to alter it. Here's one idea that I presented that I think is actually a good idea. What if I live stream the brew? Simple as that. What if I schedule it so that it's at, let's say, 10 a.m. every day, where I am, or 11 or 10:30, whatever it is, but 10 a.m. seems like a reasonable one. Seems like I could schedule myself so that 10 a.m. is enough time for me to wake up, do my sunlight, electrolytes, protein shake, vitamins, my whole core morning routine, and then get in front of the camera at a specific time and just be like, okay, we're going. And then have it be a stream so that people, and a daily stream so that people are ready for it. And then we just go for like a few minutes minimum and a couple hours maximum, and who knows. And that gives me chat to interact with and other things to do. And what it mostly means, biggest thing that it means, is that I don't have to edit these videos. I can just take them and put them up. So I might try that. And it'll make them more weird and rambly, but it might be the better option, and it would get me into live streaming more effectively, and it would mean less editing and rendering for me and less load. What do you guys think? I don't know if this is a good idea. I might try it tomorrow. In fact, I'll try it tomorrow. How about that? Let me know what you think, and we'll see if I try it tomorrow. R003. I think the idea with a Google Doc with basics, as you put it, would be wonderful. I myself struggle quite a bit with improving my life due to there being so much scattered and shady information. Ugh. Google being an absolute ad-riddled trash does not help either. Use DuckDuckGo. Just recently I was trying to find some information on how to eat healthy. Rough. Dude, good luck. I saw the pyramid and thought, wow, that's exactly what I needed. Now I'm watching your video and it turns out it was all a scam. Well, a big scam. This thing happens so often nowadays, and so having a bunch of information put together by living, breathing people would be extremely useful, and I think not only to me. Bingo, baby. absolutely bingo. That's what I'm looking for, is that kind of, wow, that could be really useful to me sort of an idea. It's like, okay, good. Yeah, I think so too. Well, the basics, it's linked. It's in the place, okay? So go look. Go see if you like it. The link under squat, bench, deadlift, squat, OHP, row also has a bunch of stuff about nutrition. So R003, go click that link. It takes you to the sticky for 4chan's fit, and that's a pretty good basis for, like, you should do weight training and here's why. You should eat certain kinds of foods and here's why, and you should be hydrated and here's why. I think are the basics that it gets down. So check it out. It also goes over some of the basic things that are like, what if I'm a girl and I don't want to become a bodybuilder? It's like, I don't care. Go lift weights. You're not going to become a bodybuilder. You're going to become sexy as fuck. and I don't mean just from one thin level of sexy. Being physically capable is sexy to everyone. It really is. It really is. Unless you've really gotten out of tune with your sex drive and you've altered your framework to think that things like health don't matter much, or you've lied to yourself in thinking that particular body types, or like any body type, can be healthy, is some bullshit. Obesity is death. Obesity is death. Starvation is death too. There's a middle ground, man. And it's a wide middle ground. Like, no shame on people, especially women, who are carrying like a little bit of body fat around. And guys definitely don't mind. I know most of the guys that I know are into the thickness. Like, for real. I am not, but I'm weird. So ignore me. Everybody's different, okay? And mostly, no matter what your body shape is, you're probably going to be able to find somebody who wants you. But if you had a bit more muscle underneath your body shape, you would be better in every way, and more attractive and healthier and feel better and be capable of doing more, and your insulin resistance would be better, and your blood glucose ability to handle sugars would be better, and your energy levels all over would be better, and your sleep would be better. So lift some fucking weights, do some resistance exercise, maybe go for a run. I don't like running, but sure, go for a run, whatever. Go read the sticky that's in the basics and go contribute to the basics, please. I will do more to contribute it as well. Windwatcher, I may be a week late on this, but I am starting a new habit thanks to your inspiration. Let's fucking go. Work is starting an hour and a half earlier for me now, and I determined that the only way I was going to effectively deal with that is by changing my morning routine. So I got up 2 hours earlier today. Just be careful that you don't, like, skew yourself too much, right? Try to get up around sunrise if you can. It seems to be the way to go, or a little bit after it, once the real light starts streaming in. You do say that, okay, so I got up 2 hours earlier today to give myself an extra half hour to sit in front of my daylight lamp, drink a glass of water, and watch something to get my mind thinking. I am considering experimenting with writing instead of consuming media, but it worked exactly as I'd hoped today, and I'm going to keep doing it because I believe it will make my life better in several ways. I believe it will make your life better in several ways too, and I don't think that consuming media is the worst thing to do, because it's something that you can do relatively passively and that you might actually want to do. Like, you can get yourself psyched to watch a YouTube video on something, right? A YouTube video on how to clean a bathroom. I don't care. You just get yourself psyched for it and go and do it, and it'll be useful for you, and I don't mind that at all. Personally, the best thing that I've found is reading, and reading before I start reading all the messages that I get, because again, I'm a public person, okay? So my life is public a lot, and I get comments and stuff a lot, and Discord a lot. So when I wake up in the morning after 8 hours of my global audience being around and alive, I usually have a stream of comments to go through, and those are a mess, because some of them are like, wow, dude, you changed my life with this video you made, and some of them are like, you're a fucking moron because you misinterpreted this one tiny thing in this anime that you spent 3 hours interpreting and have spent 40 hours over the last couple weeks interpreting, and you missed this one tiny thing, and I hate you. And it's like, that's not what you want to get into your brain early in the morning. And so opening a book and reading a page of a book or something has been really good for me. Whatever works for you works. I've got a friend who does podcasts in the morning. It's what he does. He puts in a podcast every morning, and it's just what he does. And it's like, okay, rad. And he's getting something out of it. It's like passive learning, but it's engaging his brain. He's not listening to, like let's compare our dick sizes, the podcast. He's listening to podcasts that are informational, so he's getting something in. I believe in your schedule. The daylight lamp, the drink a glass of water, watch something to get your mind thinking. That works. If you want to, what you said about considering experimenting with writing instead of consuming media is a good idea. And here's what I would recommend is I would recommend putting a journal next to your bed, on your nightstand, or on the floor next to your bed or somewhere, just so you have a pen and paper near you. and treat it like a dream journal or an idea journal. What I find is since I started doing this, my brain, as I come out of dream into wakefulness, I'm in this liminal in-between space, and I often come up with interesting ideas that I'll then scribble down. It's like, idea for a business, idea for what if this is the case with this thing? What if I tried this? And I'll just scribble those down before they evaporate from my mind. Or if I get the remnants of a dream, I'll scribble those down as fast as I can because I'm trying to figure out my dreams more effectively. And that seems to work pretty well for aligning yourself as well. You can also do something as you're getting your day going, is to write down a couple things that you want to do during the day. And sometimes I'll use that, and I haven't been doing it as effectively as I should be, but sometimes I'll use that to write down the things about the brew that I want to talk about, or the things that I want to talk about when I get to the brew. So all those things can work. The daylight lamp, excellent. And I would recommend that everybody get a daylight lamp. I think they're really cool. The one that I got this one, and it's nice, and it's got these hinges and stuff, and none of it's necessary. The company that makes this one is Circadian Optics, and they make a cheap one that's just a square with a switch, and it's like $17. Go get one. That's about how it feels in the morning when I turn this thing on. It's the other one is like $17. Go get one. And I had a really cool idea about that, which actually won't work with this one because this one is touch on, and so the fact that it's the more expensive version is actually bad for me. I need one with a physical switch so that it switches and stays on. The reason is I got a 2-pack of these. These are BN Link outlet timers. They've got multiple outlets on them, and so what you can do is they've got a digital timer on them, so you can set them up to go on at a certain time and off at a certain time. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it so that it comes on at like 8 a.m., okay, and then stays on for 30 minutes and then turns off, okay? And I'm going to buy one of the cheaper versions of these daylight lamps, and I might donate this one to one of my friends because it's nice and it's expensive, but I don't actually need it, you know. I'm going to get one of the cheaper ones that'll just stay on all the time, and I'll plug it into this, and then I'll have a timered daylight lamp that will just go bing at the time, like 30 minutes before when I wake up, and blast me with power light, right? How cool is that as an idea? I think that's a cool idea. It might be a terrible idea, you know? I've done timered lights before, but I didn't do them with the proper wavelengths and light forms. So we'll see, and I'll let you know how it goes once I set it up. But I think that's a cool idea, right? Like a timered daylight lamp? Yeah. And then the thing that I will add is when you drink a glass of water here, get some electrolytes. They help a lot, like a lot, because you get dehydrated when you sleep. Most of us should be aware of this. You spend 8 hours not drinking any water, and under covers and being relatively warm, and you're going to sweat a lot and breathe a lot. We respirate a lot of our air out while we sleep. It's partly why you wake up with a dry sinuses and dry mouth and dry nose. And so the first thing you want to do is you need to get some water in you. And then you really need to get some electrolytes in you too. And that means some sodium, magnesium, potassium, and calcium. And you need all of them. And you especially need some salts, some sodium. And don't be afraid of salt. All the stuff about like, oh, salt is what's killing us is false. It's just not true. Salt on its own and salt as part of your normal diet is something that you absolutely need, and it will probably benefit you immensely to get more of it. Eat salt. And if you're worried about if you have specific blood pressure issues or hypertension or something, that's maybe a separate issue, but I still think you need salt. So there you go. Vinicius Carvalho has some long interactions around Marx, which are very good and useful. What I want to do with Vinicius is say this. Essentially, Vinicius says, I don't know how you've come to the conclusions that you've come to. And the answer is that I have not come to conclusions, Vinicius. I haven't come to conclusions. I've come to initial impressions. And so what I'm attempting to do is that I fully expect that over the course of the next year or however long it takes me to read all these fucking books that I'm interested in, I will come to a much more full and accepting understanding of the ideas of Marxism as presented by Marx and Engels and other thinkers and other theorists and all sorts of things. I'll come to a much fuller idea. What I would like to document the entire journey, and that includes my initial assumptions and biases and my first impressions, as wrong as they might be, and everything about the whole thing. So when I say I think XYZ about the thing, that's so that I have documentation so that somebody else who is following me on this journey can say, well, Tiabu started out thinking XYZ about Marx, and maybe I did too, and Tiabu ended up coming to this conclusion, and then changed his mind and came to this conclusion, and then eventually changed his mind and came to this conclusion, and 5 years from now, I might make a video about what I think politics should be, or I might try to run for office, you know, or I might try to like write my own manifesto or something, you know, and maybe it would be useful to have a full basis of how I came to the conclusions and thoughts that I've come to. But I have not come to conclusions yet. If I had, I would conclude, right? And I would not continue. Once you have said all the things that you need to say, well, there's not much use in saying more things, is there? And so that's not what I'm doing. So, yeah, I'll address your issues in a different way, and I'll address your issues later, but not right now, because I'm trying to run through these comments. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. This has been a really fun brew. It's been kind of all over the place, but that's been good. I'm gonna go edit and render both of these brews. I've got 2 brews to edit render, and that's fucked. So I think in the future, the move is to make the brews be streamed and just deal with it. And just do it easy with no edit render, because it takes like hours. It takes hours to edit render, and that's not acceptable. So we're gonna shift away from that. We're gonna do these as streamed or lived on YouTube or something. And I think that's a good idea. I think it'll work. But for now, I'm gonna go edit render these, and then once I'm done doing that, I'll probably have lunch and stuff, and then I'll probably come back and I'll decide what to watch today. I will make a promise today, which is this: I will watch something today. The plan is to watch Gundam, because it's Thursday, but I messed up yesterday because of Mushoku, and I actually have time today because I don't have other commitments, so I might go and do that as the thing. I'm also on today, and I'm ready to go, and I'm also thinking about, like, romance and sex and behaviors between men and women, and that fits for Mushoku really effectively right now. So I'll decide which one I'm going to watch today, but I promise that I'll watch something today, and we'll see how it goes. Normal Tiabu thought that he'd be able to record today, but me, evil editing Tiabu, I've taken hours and hours and gotten distracted repeatedly and haven't been able to get any of these things edited or rendered. It's now well after 7 p.m. and Tiabu is becoming exhausted, and he hasn't been able to record literally anything except the Daily Brew today because he's an idiot. So he failed, and now it's going to make his brain worse and make him more likely to fail in the future. No, okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to stream the brews from now on, and I'm going to record Cyberpunk Edge Runners tomorrow, and we'll see how everything goes, and I'll try to fix it as best I can. Okay. Thanks. Sorry that I fuck stuff up so frequently. Peace. Thank you so much for watching this Daily Brew. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's been useful. Please go check out the basics. It's free, linked in the description. And if you enjoy or benefited from this content, consider paying me for it. I make it totally free, and there are no ads on it. And the reason is because I think it's worthwhile to get it out to people for free. And if you could demonstrate that that value is felt and received by sacrificing some of the value that you have ownership of in order to support me, that would do the thing really effectively. So consider it, and I'll see you tomorrow for more of the brew. Peace, and I mean it.